Hello, I'm Juan Davies, Chief Creative Officer at KCTM-PBS SoCal, and I'm joined by the newsroom of KPCC and LAist on a daily reporter roundup. Today, we're going to talk about a new series from the newsroom called How to New LA. Lisa, how do you new LA?
That's a good question, and it's not easy to figure out. People are rightfully confused about safety and all the new rules and changes. So we created this special edition of our How to LA handbook series. They're practical guides for navigating day-to-day life in LA, which in this moment is changing, sometimes actually minute by minute. So we've broken up the guides into sections to address the questions we've been fielding. So we've got reopen, react, reinvent, relief, remember, and respite, because people need a little bit of that too. Angelenos are facing a protracted pandemic and a full reckoning over systemic racial inequity. And there have been a lot of mixed signals about how to even just exist in the world right now. So we created the series to help people stay on top of all of the changes.
Robert has been covering the big impact on mental health, and he's put together a resource guide for anyone feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, we were hearing from experts that with all of the isolation, economic uncertainty, and the very real fear of the virus, that we should be bracing for a mental health pandemic. But navigating how to get help with mental health can be very confusing. We talked with a professor of psychiatry at UCLA who broke down how you know if you might need some help. We talked with experts about how to find a therapist that's right for you and what you do if you don't think you can afford it. We even found out about a program started by the California Psychiatric Association that puts COVID-19 first responders in touch with therapists who are offering some free counseling right now. Bottom line is, though, everybody's having their mental health impacted in one way or another because of the pandemic. So we're going to keep adding resources to the guide, and we hope it'll make getting help a little easier.
Chava has spent a lot of time out on the streets documenting what the pandemic and the protests have looked like in the last few months.
Yeah, I've been out documenting everyday life since the pandemic began, and have been able to document so many important moments, from the initial days of the stay-at-home orders to the protests that broke out in the streets for racial justice. It was striking to see places like downtown Los Angeles so empty at the start of the pandemic, and then a few months later see it so full of protesters. While I'm out shooting, I'm in the moment trying to capture just the story that's in front of me and trying to make sense of the scenes that I'm seeing. You never think you're seeing history happen. That's why I think it's important to have these images to look back on as a record of where we are today and to chronicle all the massive changes that we are experiencing in our daily lives.
We started this project to help people navigate life during and please at some point post-COVID-19. But as we've all seen, there's also been a reckoning about systemic racism, and we're committed to helping people understand those issues and the history behind them. Brian, can you tell us more about what to expect?
Yeah, the obvious place to start is probably with policing. Many people are familiar with the calls to defund police that protesters have been saying a lot. So we've got a guide that takes a deep dive looking at both the Sheriff's Department and LAPD. We look at use of force, transparency, accountability. That includes the introduction of body-worn cameras. Also the jail system. Many will remember former Sheriff Lee Baca went to prison over a scandal involving deputies beating inmates, and then the cover-up that followed. Another piece we have looks at the new Department of Civil and Human Rights in LA. The first meeting was actually in June, but it was created last summer by city ordinance. They sort of fast-tracked it once the protests got in full swing. So that department largely looks at complaints around employment, housing, commerce, and education. The local attorney who was appointed to its head, Capri Maddox, said right before the first meeting, "I would have never believed that in the city of Los Angeles in 2020, we would have had to create a department involving civil rights."
Thank you. This How to New LA guide sounds full of resources that I think our audiences are going to need and are going to use for quite some time. So thank you, all of you at the LAist and KPCC newsroom, and thank you for tuning in. Take care of your health, your family, your neighbor, and we will see you on Monday.